Hello, kitties. It's your old pal, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and you're listening to Video Store Clerks Podcast.
Welcome to the store.
Hello there, beautiful people. It is Tuesday night. It's a few minutes after 10. We got a little late start, but we are your video store clerks. That's Dave. I'm Chad, man.
I'm Mike.
Hey, yo, it's Chuck.
And we are the video store clerks.
Fuck
Tonight,
yeah, we are.
We will be talking about the 1986 Cobra, starring Sylvester Stallone.
Hey, Chuck, watch your language. Hey, Chuck, watch your language. You're in public.
Yeah, right.
You know, you're a very violent person.
You know, you're a very violent person.
As I said, tonight we'll be talking about the Stallone classic Cobra. But first, we got to do things the way we're going to do. I will say Dave is not here. He is part of the zombie
Dave's
squad,
not here, man.
He got a little too burnt out. So he's going to be taking the night off.
He got wasted, man.
But we will continue the show as usual. Coming up first with the news.
Alert, alert, the news, motherfucker. Hurry up, call your mom, call your dad. It's the fucking news.
Got an inside source on that wreck. Have you been in contact with the police chief?
Have I talked to the police chief? No, I have not. I've actually just literally looked on Google Maps, and every time you guys send me out here for a live traffic report, I literally just look on Google Maps. Oh, look, traffic. I look on Google Maps and report to you what I see here. And I don't know if you guys knew this back at the station, but every person in America has access to this. Well,
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Yeah.
This is some fake news shit. Like that. This shit ain't real. This ain't like a real news feed.
Is this real life?
This ain't real, man.
This ain't real life.
No,
As usual, starting off this week, we'll be doing the blockbuster hits. The Nun 2 came out Friday, and right now it's sitting at 35 mil. It's getting a lot of views, and it's getting a lot of talk. I haven't really... some people were saying it sucks. Some people were saying it's good. I don't know. I was not a fan of the Conjuring films myself, or Annabelle, or the original Nun.
Well, you know, actually, like oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like,
they were flops for me.
The first two Conjuring movies I'm okay with. The first one I like a lot. I got kind of tired of the trope. You know, it's like you had Insidious, you had Conjuring, and it's like, God damn it, he's in both. But you get kind of confused. But like Annabelle, I'm so done with fucking dolls. I'm so done with fucking evil dolls. Unless you give me something different, but I'm still done with it. But the Nun, the first one, I didn't hate it. I thought I was going to, but to be perfectly honest, that bitch scares the shit out of me. She creeps me the fuck out. So that gets points in my book. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I don't have high hopes, but I'm hoping it's at least entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, I might watch it when it actually comes out on streaming, but I'm definitely not going to spend any money on it.
No. Don't get me fucked up. I'm not saying, like, spend your money on this shit. I'm just saying.
Yeah. In number 2 spot, we got Equalizer 3. It's up to 62.8 million.
Lord.
Denzel, he always kills the offices.
He's kind of the shit, you know.
I love me some Denzel. I'll watch anything with Denzel in it.
That's because King Kong ain't got shit on him.
He doesn't.
It's true.
He really doesn't. I'm going to write tickets up on all y'all. Bring cases out.
Probably one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, has to be. I'm not a big fan of Ethan Hawke, but I dig that movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Coming in the third spot, we got the Big Fat Dick Wedding. I mean, the Big Fat Greek Wedding. It's in at 10.8 mil.
There's another one of them?
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know why, but yeah, there's like it's just like the third or fourth one like they've
It's the
got in
third
that
one,
series.
part 3.
Jesus. Yeah, and
People
the second
love
one
that
came
shit.
out when? When the last one came out in the fucking early 2000s or some shit?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
they keep doing them 15 to 20-year-old sequels out of nowhere now, all the fucking time. Like I heard they're going to be making a dodgeball sequel. Yep, Vince Vaughn's all over it. Jawan is at number 4. It's at 7.5 mil. Not really. I meant to look that up to see exactly what that was. I remember hearing about it and watching the trailer, but I don't really remember exactly what it was.
What movie?
Jawan, Jawan.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Joanna? Joanna Man?
Juana Man.
They
Joanna Man?
re-released Joanna Man.
Joanna Man.
Oh, shit.
And then Barbie's still sitting strong at number 5.
Woo!
It's up to 620 mil.
God.
It's
Hey,
fucking
good-
racking it out, and it's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, but
Wait,
the
you
thing
saw
is,
it?
you got to give it to Barbie.
I was going to say.
Just the trailer.
Okay.
I got to say, though, I have been told that it's pretty funny. And
I know a lot of people who saw it, but they were all females.
Well, but like I also like Ryan Gosling. I've grown to actually really like him as an actor, but it's one of those things that like I don't ever see me watching this unless I get a girlfriend that wants to see it, or if by some chance I'm so drunk that when it's on streaming I watch it. I can't explain what I do when I'm drunk. It's so stupid.
I cannot
Continue.
say that I will ever see it because even with all the females I've been with, like and dated or whatever, like I've still never seen The Notebook or Titanic. So I'm never going to see this either.
I've watched The Notebook twice in my life, and it holds a special place in my heart, but I never want to watch it again. Too sad.
Yeah. I don't know. Not for me. And some more not so wonderful news, I guess. But I mean, I don't know, since it seemed like I never finished the first one because it was just bad. But Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 reveals Tigger. Tigger is supposed to be one of the major role characters in this film. They released photos of Tigger, which he looks pretty crazy. He looks almost kind of like a werewolf in a way.
I figured.
I'm sure this will be just as bad as the first one.
Yeah, I couldn't finish the first one either.
It was slow. Like I don't know what it was, but I looked forward to that movie so long, and then I turned it on, and about 30, 40 minutes later, I was like, I'm good.
Yeah. What's the news doing?
Right. And then Laura Blum and Rebecca Angelo from the Dumb Money team, is making a film on Murder, She Wrote.
Oh, shit.
They're making a feature film of Murder, She Wrote. No Angela Lansbury, but Jessica's in the works.
You know what? I'm not against this. I'm
actually not myself. Like I used to watch the shit out of that with my grandma when I was a kid.
Same. I think we all did. I think just about everybody did decide. Yeah, a grandparent or some sort or old person in the family, you watched that show with them when you were a kid, and it's actually one of the reasons why I'm a fan of mysteries. That and Columbo, and that was my dad's doing. But Perry Mason and shit. But yeah, I'm not mad about that. I'm hoping it does. It ends up being a good script. It does good, and I'm cool with that.
Okay. Fucking Matlock and shit.
Fucking Matlock and shit.
Matlock.
I was always a big fan of In the Heat of the Night. They call me Mr. Tibbs.
Hell yeah. My stepdad and my mom are they're big In the Heat of the Night fans. And when I went to Jason Lives camp a couple of years ago, the town that was filmed in, the sheriff station that's used in Jason Lives is the same sheriff it was used in the Heat of the Night movie.
In the heat of the night.
But this company, Dumb Money team, is also doing The Wolfman, as we mentioned before, with Ryan Gosling, and also a film called The Bride with Scarlett Johansson.
Okay. The Bride is in
I'm not sure if they're going to do like a Quentin type shit from the Bride book or what they're doing. I'm not 100% sure. So we will see.
Curious.
We will.
Also, the 30th anniversary of one of the best TV series of all time, X-Files, Fans are praising and they're really celebrating the anniversary, hoping that a potential revival series is in the works.
No.
Didn't they already try that? Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Who knows? You know what they do
Leave
in
the
Hollywood.
classics
They just
alone.
keep regurgitating the same shit over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I love X-Files, but it's had its day. You know, time to put that bad boy to sleep.
Fucking Millennium.
Ascension.
Bring Millennium back. God damn it. That's what we fucking need. Lance
Y'all wanna
Henderson
see
like a
some
motherfucker.
Millennium, right?
Yep.
Millennium.
You calm down, Michael.
Oh, shit. Here, I'm gonna switch back. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, that's no good because this last part of the news is what I saved because I know Mike would probably chime in and we'll get him down here. And un momento.
All right, that's better.
Pow.
Okay.
I
Pow.
gotta throw you up there. That's weird.
That's
So
weird,
the
man.
last little piece of news I have is WWE and the UFC merged to the TKO group. So they will be showing nothing but wrestling, UFC, MMA, martial arts, all kinds of fighting sports.
All right.
Hand-to-hand entertainment. Vince is going to be the control of the WWE still, but he will serve as the executive chairman of the merging company.
Of course.
That is the end of the news. And that was a weird-ass toss because it got stuck right in the side of my sunglass stand. Very interesting.
Let's see what a TKO just opened up today. They were on Wall Street. They rang the bell. Vince was there, mustache and all. It opened up at $100 and fucking ended the day at 103.05. So there you go.
He looks kind of like he looks like a muscular, chubby Vincent Price with that mustache.
I
He really does.
I thought he looked like Walt Disney on steroids, but you know
That too.
Both.
Yeah, like if
But
they all had a
Vincent
kid,
Price
that's
fan, though.
Vince. Right.
Yeah.
So now let's any more news you guys may have had that I had missed?
The news. I don't know. Did anybody die?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'm almost tired of talking about deaths.
Oh, Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy Buffett died, right?
Didn't we already talk about that?
Yeah, that was last week.
Yeah. You were drunk on an island somewhere.
Yeah, you were passed out. And right now you're frozen.
Let it go. Oh.
Frozen.
My fucking feed died.
God,
That's what died.
goddamn updates.
Oh
What is
shit.
going on here?
Well, you boys ready?
Fucking Skynet just fucking smoked me.
They fuck you every time.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
hop
you guys already
Huh?
talked about Jimmy Buffett. I wasn't here. I was fucking.
I know.
You were dead on the beach.
I was dead on the beach.
Dead on the beach.
Unbelievable.
So was Jimmy Buffett.
Oh,
Oh,
too soon. Too soon.
is that a harp? All right, guys, we're going to dive into the 1986 action-packed film directed by George Cosmatos, who also did Rambo 2, which I do find odd since last week we talked about Weekend at Bernie's, in which the director directed First Blood. So now we're, again, once diving into circles, because we just seem to find the same thing. Film is starring none other than Sylvester Stallone as Marion Cobretti, a.k.a. Cobra,
That's a
Bridget
catchy name.
Nielsen as Ingrid, Rennie Santoni as Gonzalez, Andrew Robinson as Detective Monte. If you do not know who that is, he played Larry, the father in Hellraiser. Yes, sir. And then we also have Brian Thompson, who is the Night Stalker, who is in a lot of films on the side pieces. He did a lot of short bits. This was his first main acting role.
And we just
What's
talked
up?
about him in the Terminator episode.
Yes, we did. So we keep revisiting people we talked about weeks ago, which I love because it's just shows you how we create our
small
content.
It's a small world. After all.
Andrew Robinson, right?
Yeah.
You said Larry. He was also, can't forget, he was also in Dirty Harry as the Zodiac Killer, but it wasn't called that.
Oh yeah. Yep.
He only has a select. There's only like, I don't know. He was in like Chucky, like Child's Play 3 briefly. Like he's like kind of like spurted all over the place, but never really any major roles anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's everywhere. And this movie was based upon the Paula Gosling novel The Running Duck, which was later renamed The Fair Game. And then they did this film, and then years later they came out with who was that? Danny Baldwin, Billy Baldwin, one of them Baldwin brothers, and Cindy Crawford.
One of the Baldwins.
But this is by far the better film because nobody really cared about that.
So is that Fair Game related to the original script of this movie, or the original story, like the book from this?
Yes. Yeah.
No shit, because Whitman and I, we were watching the Words of Cobra the other night, and we were trying to figure out if it was the same movie or not. So that's kind of funny that it actually is, or the same idea.
I had always heard that this was supposed to be Beverly Hills Cop.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
They wanted Stallone to do Beverly Hills Cop, and he went in and he had like a different idea of how
he didn't want the whole script.
Yeah, he didn't want it to be comedy. He wanted to be a full-on action flick, and that's you can see that all the ideas that he had for Beverly Hills Cop after he abandoned that and came over and decided to do Cobra. That's what they put into play here. So
yeah.
It's crazy to think that this could have been Beverly Hills Cop if somebody greenlit it.
I kept thinking that over the whole time I was rewatching it the other night. I was like, that would just be so weird if you actually think about Beverly Hills Cop and putting Sylvester Stallone in that, and then thinking of Eddie Murphy and Cobra. Like, I don't know. That just would not have been good.
Well, see, like, what's funny, too, is, like, after they actually did Beverly Hills Cop and then Cobra came out, whenever they did Beverly Hills Cop 2, that's why they put a Cobra poster on the back of Rosewood's door just to kind of poke fun.
Oh, and plus you got Brigitte Nielsen in Beverly Hills Cop 2 as well.
Right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And that, because they got Sly and Brigitte Nielsen got married a year before this was made, right after they did Rocky IV, and then they got divorced the year after this came out.
Yeah.
That was way before Flavor Flav.
She got older. She was just like, I'm not that worried about quality of man.
Well, she was like 24, and I think Stallone was 39.
Probably
during the filming of this. So that's fairly interesting.
Fucking Red
Sonja. That shit goes. That's that shit always happens. It's like fucking Warren Beatty, Madonna. There's a pile of these older actors that hook up with these younger broads, and it never works out.
Right.
Yeah.
This movie, like the way this movie starts out, though, always like I love this movie as a kid. Like as soon as this movie came out, and I was like, first time I saw it, I was probably like 8. Like I used to always run around with a fucking Strike Anywhere match in my mouth. Mm-hmm. Like my grandparents had a shit ton of them, so I would just always chewing them like fucking toothpicks.
Were they under a bookshelf by any chance?
No, they were on the stove sitting because they had a gas stove.
Ah, okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But I always love this film, especially just the way it starts out. Like you got Marco Rodriguez is the supermarket killer.
Yeah.
And then he just straight up walks into a freaking supermarket, and the dude's like, "Can I help you?" Then he just pulls out a shotgun and just starts blasting people.
Yeah. Well, actually,
like, oh shit!
He starts blasting the fucking the fucking veggies and stuff. He starts shooting at watermelons. He doesn't kill anybody. He just opens fire on food.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't like his vegetables.
Apparently, that's a sin in that cult.
I don't like vegetables or fruit.
But yeah,
anything.
That opening with him talking, I think I'm gonna see if Josh, guitar player for Bastard Sons, I'm gonna see if we can use that as our sample for before we play at shows, because it's just fucking great.
You mean like there's burglary every 65 seconds, blah blah,
every
like that stuff.
77 seconds, someone's being murdered. Like just that whole shit. It's the same thing with the Punisher opening, except in this one, Cobra's not naked.
Right.
Punished. But
before we do dive into this any further, Chuck Nasty, why don't you give us a little story about what this here film's about? While I remove this fucking stocking from my head.
I was wondering how long you were going to be able to do that. All right. He's poisoned to crime. Sylvester Stallone portrays Cobra as Marion Cabretti. A cop with a style of his own and a knack for making the blood splatter jobs no one else dares to take. George P. Cosmatos It says Tombstone next to it. So did he direct Tombstone also?
He directed Tombstone. Yeah. This.
All right, cool. This guy he's got some good shit. Guys, the whirlwind action as Cabretti confronts a crime spree that may be the work of a serial killer. And that's all it gives me because it's a double-sided with Tango and Cash, so then it goes into that shit. So, yeah, that's that.
All right.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. That's how I like it.
Going back to Marco Rodriguez as the convenience store killer, he was also he was like a convenience store killer in Maniac Cop 2 as well.
Yeah.
And fucking, he's been in a bunch of shit.
He has been.
I remember when I went back, I didn't remember him at first. Like I didn't like whenever I went back and watched this. As soon as I saw him, I was like, "Oh shit!" The first thing that popped in my head was the he was the manager for the baseball team in Eastbound and Down that second season.
Yeah,
the Mexican team.
Yeah.
La Flama Blanca.
And I think he was Torres in The Crow.
Yeah, that's what I knew him from. But now that you said Eastbound and Down, I was like, I was like, okay.
He usually plays most of the shit I've seen him in. He plays a dickhead. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, he always plays quite the asshole, but he's really good at it.
Oh yeah, he's a good actor. He's still like Eastbound and Down. He's still doing shit, just not as much as he was in the '80s. Because like the '80s and '90s, he was one of those actors that you saw all the fucking time, and half the time you didn't know his name.
Yeah. So I think he was wasn't he in that For Love for the Game baseball movie shit where he was like a catching coach or a pitching coach or some shit? I don't know.
Maybe I never saw that.
It was an old one. I used to watch baseball movies back in the day when I was a jock.
Right.
I didn't become a nerd until I got well into my 20s.
Been a nerd my whole life, sir.
Full-fledged.
No, man, Cobra, the thing about it, because as a kid when I saw this movie, I don't remember if I watched it on Fox 56 one Saturday afternoon or if it was on HBO when we had it for a minute when I was a kid or what. But I remember it being on and watching it and thinking, like, and almost having, it had a horror it has like a horror thriller kind of vibe to it. So it always took to me even more because, like, it was around the time that, like, I started liking that kind of stuff, and it was always one of my favorites as a kid. And I think it's so damn underrated just because it does have, like, because me and women were talking about this, it's like you have those action movies that there's certain ones that take on, like, a thriller kind of role. And, like, I know, like, Predator and shit, it's action, but there's also, like, not talking about, that aspect, but, like, like Marked for Death, right. Steven Seagal, and it has, voodoo and like all that shit. That's one of the reasons why that's one of the only Steven Seagal movies I watch because I think it's kind of creepy. It's got that vibe to it. And Cobra is about a call of fucking like serial killers, or whatever the fuck that one dude. And and even now watching the other day, I'm just like, yes, but I don't know. It's one of my favorite Stallone movies, man. It really is.
It really is a good movie. Like it definitely. I was watching a lot of shit on it, and a lot of the interviews I saw one line and stuff about like what some of the actors were saying how much of a bitch Stallone was because he just came out with Rocky IV, Rambo 2, so he was being like super prima donna, and then he pretty much didn't even because like I said, George Cosmatos was the director for Rambo 2.
Costanza.
I almost did say Costanza.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
George is not home. But anyway, so pretty much anything Stallone said he did. So Stallone was behind the camera just as much as the director was.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he was the one setting up all the scenes, all the shots, and everybody else. Like I know like the one scene towards the end, not to jump way far ahead, but whenever Brian Thompson's doing his little speech there at the end when they're in the factory or whatnot, Stallone wasn't even there for that. He was in his trailer watching a fucking basketball game.
Pig.
Brian Thompson was fucking just in a fucking room talking to somebody. So then Brian Thompson was like, "You're gonna die, pig."
Oh,
love it.
He's got the knife.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
That's another thing as a kid I always loved was that fucking knife he had.
Right?
Because I mean, the movie's pretty brutal. I mean, like it's because that goes. It also goes back to the fact that like it has a slasher kind of like ordeal with it. Because like I mean, the part where they get the woman that they bump in the back of her car, and they just fucking slice her up and leave her on the on a fucking park like on a bench, a bus bench. Like that to me is just like so cold hearted. And like I what was the other scene? Fuck. It was just brutal. Like there was no holds barred when it came down to how they were being. And honestly, watching it, and this is also kind of funny because of the Dirty Harry thing I said earlier. Because you've got Andrew Robinson, who was in Dirty Harry, and then you've got Cobra's partner. What was his name again?
Rennie Santino.
Yeah, he was also in a Dirty Harry movie. I can't remember if he was in Dirty Harry. I think he was in the. Was it no? No, it was Dirty Harry. Maybe it was Dirty Harry.
I think it was Dirty Harry.
He
was one of those guys that was in a lot of random stuff back in the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah. But
he would pop up everywhere, and he usually played a cop.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. But I was watching it, and I was thinking about it. I was like, if you just switched Stallone with Dirty Harry, it's a Dirty Harry movie. Yeah. Like, it's just kind of, which maybe that's another reason why I love it, because I'm a huge Dirty Harry fan. Always has been as a kid, the whole thing with the cop that does way too much, way extreme, and somehow gets away with it, even though he gets bitched at all the time. They're like, they're so back and forth with him in this movie. One minute they're like, no, you can't do this. This is no. And next they're like, you just do what you got to do. And then they go back to bitch at him again. Well,
because it's funny that they even bother to bitch at him because he's literally the only one doing any work. Like all the other cops are just like standing around bitching. Like, oh, this fucking guy. It's like, hey, assholes, what have you done? You haven't broke anything on this case. Get the fuck out of my face.
I used everything that was necessary.
Yeah.
Such a fucking good film, man. Like in the very beginning, too, like I said, that scene, as soon as you see that fucking 50s Mercury come pulling through the driveway, you know shit's about to get fucked up.
Yeah.
And that car was such it goes up there with like the Black Beauty, like in my book, because once you see this movie, you never forget that fucking car.
I think that's one of the most painful scenes is to see that car get demolished.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were counting how many times it was going to keep going. Because it's like because going over the like they have all those the San Francisco looking they always have that
jumping
and all that shit. Yeah. I watched the whole thing a while back where there was like can you actually do that or whatever? Yeah, you can make a car jump. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to keep going when it hits the ground.
Right.
And so and we're just like, oh shit. And then like that last part where it was all fucked up, we're like, it's gonna move again in it. But like I honestly I like that car. It doesn't fit him. I've never thought that fit him. I just think I think he was more of like a convertible kind of guy or a
convertible. Like maybe some kind of muscle car, like
an Impala
Charger or something. I don't know.
Just something a little more rigid, if that makes sense. Something a little more rigid. Yeah. I don't know. It just didn't fit. I don't know if he was trying to be Dick Tracy. I don't know, but it didn't work with how he was. I don't think. I think it needed to be something a little bit more like, hey, yo, I'm a badass. I'm driving this car. I'm gonna kick your ass, right? Instead of
Well, they had four vehicles for the filming of the movie. Like 3 were all like gutted and shit for like stunt cars for all the like chase scenes and jumping it around. And then the other one was actually Stallone's.
Yeah.
The guy Eddie Paul, he actually does a lot of good like car customizations and restoring and shit. And he's the one that actually built all 4 cars.
Eddie Paul. Fuck you.
Fuck you, Eddie Kim.
When you talk about like chase scenes and movies back in the day having chase scenes, this one's got some chase scenes in it. Like watching, it blows my mind watching. Can you imagine being a stunt guy, like just like driving that fucking fast, going through all like that's a lot. I got a lot of respect for motherfuckers that can do that shit. And this one's got some good chase scenes in it. Like it's kind of everything you want from a late '80s, early '90s type action film.
I mean, and not all that. I mean, it's loaded up on stunts. It's like, especially when it get to the part with all the guys on the motorcycles and everything, like flying everywhere. Yeah. It's like stunt guy heaven.
Yeah.
It's like this guy's like sliding like 50 yards on a motorcycle on the ground. It's like, what the hell is going on here? It's
What's
like
funny is
Soleil on motorcycles.
that towards the end of the part where they dive it, like when they realize that one chick is actually not a cop and she's actually like one of them, and they duck in that house. I'm like, oh, now it's Young Guns.
Yeah. Well, see, in the original script, Andrew Robinson was supposed to be the leader of the New World. Like you find out at the end that he's the actual leader, and then they were supposed to do a sequel. But then they ended up changing it out because I guess Stallone's marriage was falling apart. But he always blamed the divorce on them not making a sequel.
Yeah,
I always hated that bitch.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of her. I mean, honestly, like I was a fan of Red Sonja.
Me too.
No, I mean, I don't hate Brigitte Nielsen. That's what they say about that dirty cop bitch.
Oh yeah,
they realize like, oh,
I don't like her either. Anything she's in, so I agree with them when they said that. She did something about her face. I can't think of what else she's been on, but I've seen her on a bunch of shit, and she just has one of those faces like she's that woman at the grocery store that just bitches to bitch. Like, you know, like she's, I guess, a Karen, you know.
Well, I always wondered if they had to like do some voiceovers and if they couldn't get her back, because in that one scene, like you see her earlier in the movie and like she talks to the lady, like she's like, "Are you drunk?" and she's like, "Yes," or whatever. Like she has a normal voice, and then she's in the police station. She has a normal voice when she's with Cobra and Gonzalez. She has a normal voice, but then like the one scene where like Brian Thompson's sharpening his knife.
Yeah,
and then she's talking to him, and she sounds like she smokes like 16 packs of cigarettes a day. She's like, "She's seen your face. She knows what you look like." Yeah, like her voice just gets superly deep there, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
I didn't even pay attention to that when it came to that. I didn't even think about it.
It's so weird.
Maybe she wasn't in the room either. Brian Thompson just did all of his scenes by himself.
He might have, because he almost didn't get the job because like the director and fucking Stallone said he was too nice.
What the fuck? What is the? It's so weird. It's like this guy. What they said online that fucking he didn't even get invited to the premiere.
No, he had to buy his own ticket.
Had to buy his own ticket. Like these guys just like completely forgot. It's like, okay, we'll film all these scenes with you by yourself, and you know, none of the actors want to work with you. And oh yeah, by the way, we're not going to send you a ticket for the fucking movie.
I wonder what that is.
He won a Razzie. He won a Razzie for breakout role.
There you go.
I mean, dude, he that guy doesn't get recognized enough. I mean, think about all the shit he's been in. I mean,
he got treated like straight shit on the set because, like, he was trying to get some kind of backstory from Stallone. Like, how do you want this character to be? What's his drive? Like, just trying to get some inspiration to like get a good acting, like a good persona of the character. And Stallone was like, "He's just evil, that's all," and he just walked off.
Right.
Like he didn't want to have anything to do with anybody. They said most of the time Stallone was just trying to impress his bodyguards, and he kept like running around chasing Brigitte Nielsen around set and grabbing her ass and shit. And then he was blaming everybody else for the production being slow. That's what I mean. Like, he was just prima donna on this one.
Well, I also like at that time too. All the action star guys, they all had their beef. They were all kind of like that. They were all like head to head, always like who's got the better movie and all that shit or whatever. Right. And with him being like a big dude, I would say that and especially Sylvester Stallone being kind of a prima donna on set already, I'd say that he, you know, wanted to act like more of a fucking like tough ass with you know, old dude because he's a big dude too. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, because I mean, you ever been around big dudes? They always try to punk out each other.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so I mean that, you know, but that's really shitty. I didn't know that. That's really fucking shitty.
Yeah, he got. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I like going back to, you know, Chuck was talking about how these guys are kind of flexing on each other as far as the stars go. I mean, we just had Terminator come out in '84, that we just talked about. Now it's '86. I feel like it's a combination of that, you know, like Arnold showing up on the scene, and you've got the fact that Stallone is kind of hitting the tail end of his, you know, run. You know, he's done how many? 4 Rocky movies already.
2 Rambos.
2 Rambos. He almost. So it's like all the franchises that he's been this major star a part of, that they're kind of hitting their tail end, and it's like he's looking for his next platform. You know, I kind of felt like he was like thinking, oh, this Cobra is going to be the next franchise for me. And it's like, I got to step it up. The Terminator came out. I got to be a little bit more harder, a little bit more edgier. Let's take the Dick Tracy element. Like, oh, I want to be Dick Tracy. Give me a Dick Tracy car, but paint it black and throw some nitrous in it, huh? Maybe I won't get so beat up. But that
you can't win, Rock.
It like you said, it has that feel of Dirty Harry. I felt like it had elements of Death Wish as well.
Yeah.
Those types of movies where they're just kind of like sampling a little of all those tough cop movies and action movies and throwing it into one, to where Stallone is like, yeah, I want this to be my next platform.
Yeah.
And
what's interesting too is, like, in Beverly Hills Cop, his name was supposed to be Axel Cabretti, which is the same last name as this film.
Yeah.
And then he said his inspirations were John Wayne. That's why he chose the character's name to be Marion, because that's John Wayne's real name.
Yeah.
And then he said he wanted the Dirty Harry feel. And then he also said, imagine Bruce Springsteen with a gun shooting people.
That would explain the clothes.
Yes. And Mike just got frozen drinking a bottle of water.
At least he wasn't making like a dick motion, you know? Yeah, but and also another thing though is Brian Thompson. With the fact that he was in the Terminator before this, because he was, he was Arnold's, so him and Arnold's friendship might have been one of those things. Oh, you're friends with Arnold, so I don't want to be cool with you, kind of thing, because at that time Arnold and Stallone didn't get along at all. Right. They didn't become buddies till later on. So there's a lot of reasons why he probably was being a shithead to him, but Sly is also, he's known to be kind of an asshole. Back in the day, I don't know how he is now, but back in the day, he has a reputation for being kind of an asshole with certain things, and I, especially when he's younger. So I wouldn't put it past him.
I don't know if Brian Thompson was only a punk. He had a bit scene in the Terminator, so I don't even know. Did he have a relationship with Arnold?
I heard he used to be Arnold's stand-in.
He was Arnold's stand-in in Terminator.
That's how he first got on the scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why he could
wear
his jacket.
Yeah. And this is one of his breakout roles where he actually was in the movie longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Which, after I saw this movie, anytime I saw him, I was like, dude from Cobra. Right. That's the way I always think of him, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. And also the bad guy in Lionheart was Van Damme.
Oh, yeah.
The Sandman or whatever he was called in it. He's a great. He was one of the great villains, in action movies at one time. The guy deserves some goddamn respect.
He was like Tim Capello on steroids.
Oh, it was like we were talking
superroids.
Like we were talking about before, he's Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat, and
I forgot about that.
Fucking the Buffalo Bill guy in Joe Dirt.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about. I haven't seen that movie in fucking forever. Lord.
But apparently him and Stallone really don't get along, because
apparently
I think 7 or 8 years ago he came out with his own movie called Extendables, making fun of the Expendables.
Yeah,
and that shit was fucking funny.
Oh, was it a comedy? Because I didn't even know it existed until I was looking some shit up about him. I was like,
it's pretty much a spoof off the Expendables.
Okay, I didn't know if it was just one of those this is the cheap version of the Expendables. And I was like, oh, that's sad, but that makes me feel better that it's fair.
Because it's them actually making the Extendables in the movie, and he's like this big prima donna bitching about every fucking thing. Like, there's seeds in my watermelon. There's blah blah blah. Like, this is fucked wrong. Blah blah blah. Like, it's pretty funny. Like, you can really see some of the jabs that Stallone in it.
That's hilarious, actually.
So you can tell they do not get along.
He was like a bounty hunter guy in X-Files too for like a few episodes.
Oh, really?
He's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, he's just one of those dudes. You know what I mean?
And it's just one of those like we had talked about before. It's one of those guys that you remember the face, but you fucking always forget the name because it's just something so plain.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talked about that during Stallone night as well.
Yeah. Also, dude, the guy is just terrifying looking. I don't want to fucking go against that guy. No matter how, I mean, like, no, fuck that. That's creepy. And in this movie, he is completely psychopath. Completely, like, I mean, it's.
Well, they said he didn't even get the part, because like I was saying, he auditioned 7 times for this role before they actually gave it to him, because they said he was just such a nice guy whenever they would just talk to him and shit. And then it wasn't until they did a screen test where they were like, that's the dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he said to be a really nice guy.
Green light, and then he got the part. So, but then after that, the whole time they were filming, he just seems like he just straight got shit on.
That's a shame. I love this movie, but that really bums me out to know that was going on behind the camera.
Right. Me too.
Yeah.
Like I can see how Stallone though could be thinking he's the god or the Messiah or whatever of Hollywood at the time, since he had, I think, #1 spot back then was Top Gun, then Rocky IV, then Rambo 2. So I mean, he was in the #2 and the #3 spot. So he was trying to make big things, and he didn't want to, like Mike said, he didn't want to do Beverly Hills Cop because it was a comedy. But then he goes around like 8 years later and fucking does Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
But you know why?
That
was because of Arnold.
Yeah.
That was because Arnold and him, because he was like, oh, I can't do this movie, but I figured you need to be the first to hear about it, so no one else gets it. And he's like, oh yeah, and then like he agrees to do it and all that shit. And like I think like he got a message or something from Arnold that was just him laughing hysterically or some shit.
Yeah.
And like I think that's hilarious, because that movie is
fuck you, Eddie.
That movie is just it. As a kid, I liked it, and I watched it again. I think when we did the Stallone episode, I think I watched it a couple days before or something. And I was just like, it's got funny moments, but it's also like, damn, that I would be pissed off at Arnold too. Like
this movie to me also has one of the weirdest fucking montage clip scenes ever, because like you fucking go from like the Night Stalker finding out, like the cop chick finding out her
the Night Slasher, all right,
whatever, either way, Night Slasher, and then fucking
it's like a Dirty Harry, different name.
The fucking cop gets the tag, like the plate number, so they can run and see who this car belongs to and everything, and then they find out she's a model or whatnot, and then like the next scene, you just see a bunch of fucking robots.
Yeah.
Like what's going on here?
And then it just keeps bouncing back and forth between her fucking taking pictures with robots with the guy from Sledgehammer, and then fucking Sly and fucking Gonzalez doing their thing, trying to fucking find these fucking guys, and then the Night Stalker the Night Slasher doing his own thing.
Doing the shakedown. Yeah, it's the Night Slasher. It's not fucking Richard Ramirez.
Whatever. Right? But it's
he's not a crackhead who has a thing for old people, okay?
Yeah.
My point is, it's the oddest fucking montage scene ever.
And the music was terrible. Like there was what was that one song? I can't remember how the lyrics go, but every time he would like pull up to his like office or whatever, and that music would be playing. Like it was a terrible song. I remember the first time he pulls up to the office and he just rams that guy's car.
Yeah, well, that part's funny too, because fucking he's such an asshole.
Yeah,
like he feels so entitled to everything.
Yeah,
and then what's great about that scene though is fucking the dude gets out of the car and starts talking shit or whatever, and then he grabs his fucking shirt and tears his wife beater down. And then if you look close, you can see the fucking dude's wired up with a microphone.
The microphone.
And he has this fucking mic taped to his chest. And that's why they cut away real quick. But then they still fucked it up later anyway by showing the front of him again.
It's so weird.
Go on.
I was gonna say it's so weird because he comes off as such an asshole in that scene, but then like all these other scenes, he's telling the guy not to use profanity, not to like he's talking about Brigitte Nielsen. The other guy was talking about Brigitte Nielsen being attractive, and he's like, I was focused on the job. He's all serious and by the book and everything. And at some points, and then at this one scene, he's just a complete asshole. Like, get out of my parking spot. Oh, I'm gonna rip your shirt. What? What are you gonna do about it?
Those are bad for your health. What? Me.
And that's the other thing. Go ahead, Chuck.
I was just gonna say real quick, since we're talking about the microphone. When we were watching it, we were bullshitting while it was on, so whatever. And I looked over and I'm watching that scene, and I'm like, that guy's wearing a wire? Did I miss something? So in my head, I thought that it was this guy an undercover cop that's just giving him he's just giving him shit or whatever. So it's really funny that the fact that wasn't even a thing. It was just a fuck up on their part.
Yeah, it's because the
hilarious.
scene was shot so wide out they couldn't use a boom mic, so him and Sly were actually wired up, and then they fucking did the shirt tear away, and it just fucked the whole thing up.
Like, why didn't they think better about that? Like, I mean, like they could easily have stopped, taken that off at that moment, and then gone back, and then he rips it. We wouldn't have seen it, and then we wouldn't be here talking about it today.
Right.
But that's it's those little movie mistakes. Those little fun little Easter eggs.
Then he continues to go into his house and pull a pizza out of the freezer, and his
Out of the freezer, yeah,
and a carton of eggs that has his gun cleaning kit in it, and then he cuts the fucking pizza in half with a pair of scissors while he's sitting there cleaning his gun, watching a fucking Toys R Us commercial.
Toys R Us Christmas commercial. What's going on here?
I've never kept a pizza in the freezer that's already been out and fixed. Like, I've never done that.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. But because me and Whitman were trying to figure out, did he pull it from? Because we looked and we're like, did he pull that out of the freezer or out of the refrigerator? He said, "Oh, it was out of the refrigerator." So it's kind of, because I was like, I'm pretty sure it was the freezer.
Yeah.
And the fact that he cuts off the end of it, okay, I get it. Like, I have eaten frozen pizza before from the refrigerator, cold pizza. It's a normal thing. The bread, the crust isn't always, how it was. Cut that shit off, and you just eat the regulars. I get that. But he also cuts this much off, and
he takes one bite and just sets it back down.
Like, I don't know. Again,
it's frozen.
That was my daily carb count for the day.
Yeah. Maybe eat some more natural, some prunes. He's giving that guy fucking health advice.
Some raisins, some fish, rice,
fish and rice.
Every cop movie at that time period has it to where when you first you see who the main character is and all that, and then they go home. And immediately, because I guess it's just what badass cops do, anti-hero cops, clean their gun. They just go home and chill out, and they clean their gun in some way, and they do that every day. And some of them might, I don't know, but that just always seems to be a thing in action movies of this caliber.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, this whole film, he is a walking, talking cliche, because everything is, all the lines are so generic, cliche lines, It's just ridiculous. So over the top, the character. I don't know.
It's a fun one, though. I mean, because Whitman, like I said, because me and him watched the other night or last night and shit, so to bring him up, you know how he is about it's horror movies. He doesn't really give a fuck about much of anything else. And when I was like, hey man, you want to watch Cobra? Because we were talking about the night before, and he's like, man, I haven't seen that movie forever. All right, cool. And we're watching it, and he's like, I'm gonna hate this, aren't I? I was like, no, dude, I don't think you're going to. And we're watching it, and it's just like it was almost like we were back to being like this little and like chilling out like in the basement, like chugging sodas and watching movies like late night, like I don't know, because you get kind of excited because it's that nostalgia feeling as well as like, oh shit, I don't know, I can't, it's hard to explain, but that excitement you kind of get, and
right.
and talking about the music, there are moments where some of the music's cool, like it has that 80s like new wave like shit that some of it sounds all right, but God, there's a couple of those songs that are fucking horrible. That ending song,
There's one song with Gladys Knight and fuck.
And fuck.
Yeah, good story, Chad.
All right.
We'll come back to that. I know the John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band did a song as well.
What?
Like that. But they were like the main theme songs, though.
Okay.
You know what I
promise. Why don't I have yourself, Big Brown Beaver?
What I didn't mind, oddly enough, is that there's like some kind of synthesizer sound that's going on like the whole time, and real low. It's like
I like that. See, that's
Yeah.
that's what
I was like, I didn't mind that, oddly enough, but it's just like going nonstop throughout the film.
the scene where they're going into the house when they find out old girl is actually one of them. That sound that's going on there, because it is like I think that's one of the scenes where it's like really like low synthesizer, like kind of like darker kind of sounding. And I dig that shit. I'm all about that shit. But that happy-go-lucky fucking, I don't know. I can't do so like those real, I'm not trying to sing this shit, okay? So deal with it. The bubbas are music, okay? It's words. You know what I mean? No, it's just like, this is horrible. Why would you do that? Like, it's just like the Eye of the Tiger kind of bullshit, but not nearly as fun or cool or as played out. But
you would think that he would realize after the Rocky films and how much the soundtrack made a difference, that you would say, "Hey, this got to be a banging soundtrack, bro."
Yeah.
And like, nope.
I don't see Cobra being really a new wave guy or that other shit. I don't really like. When I think of Cobra, I'm like, what does that guy listen to? Like, does he listen to like the golden oldies? Like, I could see him like listening to Elvis. Like Elvis fan maybe.
He looks like an ex-con from the 50s.
Right. Like, so I would say like maybe Elvis. He's maybe a fan of the Animals, something like that. But if I was to remake Cobra these days, okay, like if I made Cobra, I would probably make it a little bit more metal, because I could also see him being a fucking Exodus fan, like and some of that the old school shit, Slayer when it first came out back in the day. Like I could also see that too, but he kind of gives off more of like a Elvis fan kind of like feel. But
well, it's fun. It's funny you said that about if it ever got rebooted, because I know there for a while, like a few years back, Robert Rodriguez was talking about rebooting it, and that could be an interesting movie.
Ooh, with Tom Hardy, I'm down for that. I just had that idea. I'd be okay with that. I could see him pulling that off. He might actually be cooler than Stallone in it. I like Tom Hardy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. I'd watch it. I haven't really seen a bad Rodriguez film.
And
I mean, there's a couple that I'm just kind of like, eh.
Do a soundtrack from the 80s too. Don't fucking do it modern. Do it
right.
Like,
yeah.
I would go straight up back to 1986 and look at the best heavy metal albums and see what was going on. Probably like some Black Sabbath, some Ozzy,
Maiden,
all that shit. Pull all that and throw it in there.
Motorhead. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because at that time, Ozzy wasn't. So yeah.
Pull all that.
I could see like Fear of the Dark being like one of the main songs. Like that'd be a good song for that movie.
Yeah. Maybe a little Priest. You know what I mean? But 86. What was that? Was that Turbo Lover years, or no? That was a little later on, I think, maybe. But yeah, we could get some Priest in there, some Motorhead. Oh yeah, you could totally fucking do it with some good.
Can you imagine if those songs would have been in the original 1986 version?
It'd be so much better.
Yeah.
Well, they actually, the original cut of the film was 2.5 hours long, but they had to chop a lot of it out because he was competing with that. He got the X rating for the violence, and then he was also competing with Top Gun. So he was trying to chop it out to make it less than an hour and a half. But then a lot of the original scenes, like the scene where all the bikers are driving through that town, apparently like there was one scene where like the one biker had like they're all driving around fucking wielding their fucking axes and shit. And then the fucking one biker just swings by and chops some kid's fucking head off as it's running across the street.
Yeah.
And then like whenever they're in the one morgue, apparently they're supposed to be just like bloody body parts just laying all over the place. And you see a lot more of that shit. I was like, that could be fucking nice.
If they would have made it a little bloodier, because like I said, it's brutal. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, for the idea of it and all that shit. I mean, going back to the woman that dies in the car, random woman they slaughter. That's brutal in nature. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if they would have kept more of the slasher, and they would have had like body parts everywhere and more of all that shit, then it would have been, I think, more of a slasher film than an action film.
Well, that was another thing that didn't make any sense. On the news report, the news people were talking about the night slasher, saying how the MO was basically sneaking in at night and attacking the victims. And I was like, they didn't do that at all.
No, well, that's because
That was Ramirez.
they actually filmed a whole fucking scene with like a backstory of the night slasher, and he would stalk his victims, and he had dossiers on fucking everybody he was going to kill because they were too good for society, and he was trying to clean up the world.
Right.
And then they cut that whole fucking scene out. Like apparently it was like a 20-minute type scene, just kind of like giving you some backstory about why they're doing this. And so
I would have been okay with that.
They cut everything out, so you just figure they're just some crazy fucks running around killing these people because they were like saying like how he kills the weak or whatever, so the strong can survive, but they don't have any proof of who's weak and who's not and who's bad to society and who's not. But then apparently like it was all kind of like sketched out in all those fucking dossiers and shit he had about everybody he was trying to follow.
But even more so is the fact that it's two completely different MOs. It's like you got like Richard Ramirez type shit where you're sneaking in and attacking people at night, or these guys just straight up had no qualms about killing people. Like they didn't hide it at all. It's like they just pull up in a van and they jump out and they kill people and brutally. And it's like, oh, anybody could see you. Like Brigitte Nielsen drives by and immediately sees them.
Yeah, so, right in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
So I don't know. That was kind of goofy.
Well, that scene alone too, like whenever the chick like reaches over to fucking lock the door, whenever she locks the door, he punches the window in and grabs her hand, and they just show him chop her hand off.
Right.
And then they cut that whole scene out too because it was too brutal.
Like, I don't know how the cops didn't have any evidence. Like, these guys just did stuff like straight up. Like, it didn't matter if there was witnesses. It didn't matter if we were leaving, clues behind, any kind of evidence. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, if she would have drove by and he would have just kept his back turned instead of walking into the middle of the fucking street like an idiot.
In the light.
Yeah. Like she would have had no idea what the fuck was going on over there, really.
Yeah,
because it wasn't until he started walking out whenever she started slowing down to whenever she drove by. Like until then, like she would have just kept cruising by doing like 30 or whatever.
And the thing that always didn't make sense to me was they're like going all out to kill this one woman who saw his face, and he's literally being seen by hundreds of people as he's trying to kill this one person. It's like, wait a minute. Now you got to kill all these other people because they've seen you too.
Yeah, like
once again, a murderer walking around a hospital where nobody's really in the hospital and all the lights are out.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Whitman made that comment. He goes, "I've never seen a hospital with nobody around," and then all of a sudden, like, the alarm goes off, and then he's like, "Oh, everybody comes out."
Yeah.
Like, why is it so dark that y'all just in there fucking? What's happening here?
And that scene always cracks me up too because he fucking walks into her room, right? And then as he's walking by, for some unknown reason, there's a pair of boxing shoes underneath her bed that say Rocky on the back of them.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why would she have a fucking random pair of boxing shoes under her fucking bed in a hospital? They're not her fucking hospital shoes. They give you them fucking little socks with the nubby things on the feet.
I used to have a pair of those, yeah. Like, but I got to say real quick, going back to the van thing, as a kid, this was the movie that made me realize that you don't park next to a weird blue van or any kind of van that looks like that, ever.
Well, what's funny, ever since we talked about, like, whenever you suggested doing this movie, ever since then, I keep seeing this dark blue van at work every night parked up in the top of the fucking parking lot, and I'm like, that's fucking odd.
The fucking
and it has no windows on the side or nothing. It's just a solid ass fucking dark blue van.
Oh shit!
That's creepy.
A big.
I thought about actually getting that. I actually about getting that tattoo. The one with the shield and the axes.
Oh yeah, okay. I was like, you're gonna get a van tattoo?
Yeah, I'll get a van tattoo. Just for Cobra. If I wants to pay for that, I'll do it.
Right. I do want to jump back too. Like, I've noticed quite a few fuck ups in this movie. Like whenever he's in the fucking grocery store with the dude, and then he's walking down through all these aisles and whatnot, and then he takes a drink of that beer and throws the can or whatever.
Yeah.
He starts sneaking around trying to figure out where this guy's at, and the guy's in like the fucking deli section, and then fucking Stallone's in like the middle of the goddamn grocery store. The next thing you know, he comes popping out
behind him.
Yeah, he's behind him, and he pops out of a fucking freezer. It's like, how the fuck did he get in there? And
I always thought it was funny to drink the beer.
Yeah, as he's shooting the dude in the chest, he's like, freeze. It's like, why?
It's a great opening scene, though. That is a great opener with the speech at the beginning, the little monologue at the beginning, and then that whole that to me is a classic action film opener. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Hey, you wasted a kid for nothing.
But it was funny because as soon as I went back to watch it, I saw him pop out of the freezer. I was like, hold the fuck up. Like, how did he get behind him? And he's in a fucking room that's enclosed with no other fucking doors but the one he just came out of. Like, what the fuck?
I think it's time I waste you.
Yeah.
so many cliche lines in this, like everything. And why he opens the beer and takes a drink and then throws it. Why would you think
not even a cold one? Not even a cold one.
Yeah.
If I'm holding people hostage and all of a sudden somebody throws a beer, why am I going to shoot at the beer?
Just stand there going,
beer.
Yeah, like, oh, it's a grenade. I
mean, he was shooting up all the produce, so he might be pissed off about alcohol too. Who knows?
Yeah, everyone's so drunk.
It would have made more sense if he just threw the beer can at him. I mean,
yeah.
Right.
But then it goes into a comedy because, who throws a beer can?
But I think that's the kind of the natural progress of acting back then. It was like, like I think Stallone was trying to avoid kind of what Clint Eastwood fell into, where Clint Eastwood had all these badass roles, the Dirty Harry and everything like that. And then it ended up being like Every Which Way But Loose, monkey shit. And Stallone was like, I ain't doing no Beverly Hills Cop comedy, fucking monkey fucking movie. Banana in the Tailpipe? Come on, get the fuck out of here. And he's we're going to switch it up. This is going to be some hardcore shit. This is going to be gritty, man. It's real life. People dying,
I'm going to throw this out here too. He didn't want to be a comedy, and I'd say that he probably wanted to do something more serious because he will always have Rhinestone Cowboy on his ass.
Like a rhinestone cowboy.
But that was him and Dolly Parton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Rhinestone, yeah, okay.
Yep.
I think once you do that movie, it's like, well, it's not too tough. So I'll let Travolta keep doing this shit. Let me go over here, and then it's like, well, Travolta's doing some action shit too. Yeah, like
it's the Italian chicken.
Well, do you remember what Sylvester Stallone, what he was originally called back in the day?
Yeah,
the Italian Stallion. And why was that? Because his first movie was an adult feature, folks.
He was laying the pipe.
He was. And also, here's the other funny thing is Demolition Man. I read a story a while back talking about how, I guess, whoever he was married to at the time, he was like cheating on or something. And he was fucking one of the extras or something on the set. And during a break, he didn't turn his mic off.
Oh.
And he's fucking this chick in this room, and he kept screaming, "Smack my ass, smack my ass." Okay, so everybody was hearing it through the headphones and everything while they were fucking. So like the next day, they had a bunch of shirts made up that said "Smack my ass," and they all just wore them on the set. And yeah, like they didn't say nothing to him; they were just all wearing it. He was just like, "What's going on here?" Like that is hilarious. The Italian Stallion.
He's finally matched his meat. You really licked his ass.
I love Demolition Man. That is one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's good shit.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, fucking Cobra, man. It's an underrated classic action film. And like I said, but that thriller.
Yeah, I just think like a lot of people were having the same expectations they had for Rambo when this was going to come out. Yeah, and it just didn't hit the mark. Yeah,
I think it was.
Go ahead.
No, you finish your thought.
I lost it.
All right, good. I think it was ahead of its time as far as the action goes. I think if they would have fixed the story up a little bit better, had a banging soundtrack, then it would have been up there with Terminator of the action films of the mid '80s. So. Yeah, it hits spots like we said with the action and the brutality, and you're like, hell yeah, this is dope. But then other points you're just like, what the fuck's going on? This is weird.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, you will laugh when you watch this movie. I mean, we chuckled quite a bit, but you're also like, oh, that was badass. Like, you know, it's like Sly being a badass. Okay, cool. Back to the conversation. You know, like it's a good one. It's slow at parts, and it doesn't make some sense in a lot of parts, but those cool moments are worth it completely.
Oh.
You know, I think it's a good one. And honestly, because it really is one people try to forget about. They kind of just forget that movie ever existed a lot of times.
And a lot of people haven't seen it. I feel like there's a lot of people that, you know, if I talk about Cobra, they're like, no, I never saw that. You know, everybody's just like Rocky and Rambo. That's what they remember.
And maybe that was a reason why people didn't take to Cobra really at first when it came out, because until then, like Sylvester Stallone was playing these, you know, like he was playing Rambo, who was a very like sympathetic character. You know, like you felt bad for him, like you were on his side the whole fucking time. And you know, and Rocky, you know, it's all about uplifting and doing it. Yeah. And in this one, he's an asshole. He's kind of full of himself, and he's that violent, you know, whatever kind of guy. And you know, does it make sense? Like he's a little different from those other characters in this one.
For sure.
And sometimes viewers, when they get used to a certain thing, that's why a lot of, you know, actors get typecasted, is because we don't always want to see, you know, the good guy change into the bad guy, or the bad guy be the good guy. You know, once we get into the mindset of, well, this is how this actor this is what he plays, and when they go off and do something a little bit more extreme, a little more aggressive, then people tend to go, wah, wah, wah.
I mean, it makes sense, especially when you've done a character so well. You know, it's just like, the problem that Stone Cold Steve Austin had. You know, he was fucking enormously huge, and then as soon as they turned him into a bad guy, it just kind of killed the whole character. People are like, I don't really give a shit about him now.
Yeah,
because it's like he was like that anti-hero that everybody could relate to. Like, oh, he's going against his boss. He's the badass that, you know, doesn't, you know, answer to anybody. And then all of a sudden he turns heel, and people are like, I don't like this guy as much. So, you know, I could definitely see that with this character as well.
Completely good example. Good example.
I mean, it's kind of like, it's funny because that's kind of how I got the idea to use the Crimson Ghost as Dave's stand-in as he's out collecting videotapes, making sure the customers are rewinding. But is because the way I looked at it too was like, this was Stallone's misfit film. Mm-hmm. Like it just kind of like missed the radar, but it's so good. You just have to give it the watch to actually appreciate it. It's kind of like the Misfits. Like they were like a slap band, kind of like they just played. Most of their songs are like a figuration of 5 chords, and it was just really sloppy. But people were listening to them and they loved them. Like, I mean, so that's why I consider this fucking Stallone's misfit film.
I can dig it. I can dig that.
And I think Stallone has some kind of fetish with only having names that have 5 letters. You know, Rocky, Rambo, Cobra, Tango.
I'm not punchy. I might be a little slow, but I ain't punchy.
Yeah, name the dog Punchy.
You guys have any? Well, before we do wrap this up, I do want to mention the fact that it's fucked up. It's pretty funny. Like at the very end, he fucking gets rid of the bad guys or whatnot, and then they end up back at the hotel where the shootout was for some fucking weird reason, and then the fucking like lieutenant's like, come on, I'll give you a ride. And he's like, nah, I got my own. He just steals a fucking motorcycle.
Yeah.
Like it was the bad guy's bike. He just hops on that bitch and just drives off.
That's evidence, sir.
Right.
Yeah. But I guess, I mean, if you,
what are you doing, Mitchell?
If you show up to a crime scene or whatever, you don't really know what, you know, he for all he knew, that could have been his motorcycle. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you only ever seen his car. The next thing you know, he's driving this fucking pickup truck to the fucking safe house.
Yeah. And then when he and there's something else that's kind of funny, and this happens like, I mean, we've seen this scene in 1,000 fucking like cop movies, where, you know, Andrew Robinson's character has been harassing him the whole time. Well, who did he play again? He played.
He was a detective.
Yeah, he was just okay.
He was a detective Monty.
Okay. Yeah, and he's giving him shit the whole time, whatever, and you know that Cobra is just like, I don't want to punch him, and he just doesn't. So you know, like when, you know, he's like, no hard feelings, right? And then he grabs his hand and punches him. He's like, yeah, no hard feelings. And no one does a thing. All the other guys that are ahead of him are like, hey, you just punched somebody who's above you, but nobody cares. Go ahead, steal that bike.
Because I guess technically
go off with the model, and the bad music can play now. But you punched that guy in the face, and no one cares.
I mean, because
I love 80s
he's not
cop
even
movies.
a cop. Like, he's not even really a cop. He's on the zombie squad, which is just like who they call to fix the shit. Like, he never has a badge. You never see a badge or nothing the whole fucking movie. He's just part of their fucking, like, just go out there and take motherfuckers out.
They call him. They say he's a lieutenant, so I mean, he might be.
He has to be some kind of cop in order to do that.
But they don't even show him with the badge. Period. The whole fucking movie.
Semantics.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why that is. I know exactly why that was.
He's a freelancer.
Hear me out. It was in the script. That's every time that me and my ex, when we'd watch movies, she'd be like, that doesn't even make sense, blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, it was in the script. Just go with it.
Right. That
also backfired me many times, but yeah.
It did have a really high kill count as well, because, I mean, Stallone himself killed 41 people.
41, yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
I feel like there was more. I don't know.
There had to be.
Yeah. It's a pretty solid movie.
I wonder what the whole total kill count is completely.
I don't know. Maybe that's a number is that based off of the extended version or the cut version? I don't know.
I don't know either. But they also apparently, I didn't even know this until I was just checking some shit out and watching videos about it. And I don't know how me and Dave never noticed it before either, because we used to stream a lot of old video games. But they made a Cobra game on Commodore 64 as where you're Cobra and you're trying to save Ingrid.
Oh shit!
But that's amazing.
It did not look good at all. It looked like the choppiest side scroller ever.
Dude, give me a Cobra video game now. I want that shit now. That would be cool.
It almost looked like the RoboCop or like the Terminator game that came out back in the 80s.
I didn't mind the Terminator game was kind of stupid. So the Terminator 2 game where you're this big.
Yeah, you're just side scrolling the whole time, jumping around.
Yeah. The RoboCop game though, if I remember correctly, that was a little more fun. That was a little more fun than the Terminator 2 game on there. It was kind of like, did you ever play the Total Recall game?
Yeah, it was bad too.
It was about the RoboCop. But
someone
at the
shot
time,
that dude's TV.
But as a kid though, it was cool to be able to play those games from these movies that you know what I mean. But I also haven't played those in a long time, so they're probably horrible now. But yeah.
Whenever I found that out though, I was like, God damn it! I'm gonna have to fucking turn on my Raspberry Pi and fucking check out this game and see if I can find it on there. Because it's got everything from Commodore 64 up to PlayStation and Dreamcast.
Shit.
And everything in between.
So did you get to see gameplay or screenshots or shit of it?
Yeah, I saw some gameplay I looked it up on YouTube. It's fucking bad.
Hey, that's cool. There was a game of it though, because I didn't know that existed. I didn't
either.
You know what? I wish I could find that game. I don't have the system for it, but I would just have it just to have it. That would be cool. Stupid little shit just to kind of hate. Oh yeah, this is my Cobra game.
Yeah.
What is that movie? What are you talking about? Oh, well, Cobra is. Well, just watch the movie.
Kind of like how you've been playing fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre nonstop.
I'm pretty sure he could stop playing. I'm pretty sure he could stop playing Cobra.
I probably could. Yeah. Now, if they did that with Cobra, that'd be interesting.
I can see that being one of those games. The first time you die, you're like, "All right, fuck it, that was dumb," and then just turn it off.
I'm over it.
Any other final words here on Cobra, guys?
Fucking watch it. It's a good one.
Fucking watch it.
You got to watch it. You got to watch it at least once. I feel like it's kind of an acquired taste, especially to people that are fans of Stallone.
It's over the top, but
no.
I like this better than over the top.
It is over the top.
But
I got arm wrestling movie. You gonna go watch it? Yeah. I guess a fuck. As a kid, I liked that movie, but now I'm just like, that's so stupid. I was just gonna say real quick. And if you can't find this movie streaming anywhere, which I don't, can you rent it now on anything?
You can rent it, but
You can rent it.
It's not free.
But if you,
it won't be free until 3 days from now, whenever the show's over.
that's always fucking. It's like they know. They're like, oh, these guys are doing this podcast. We got word of it. We got to make sure that you cannot rent it at all. But if you go on Amazon, because we talked about Sylvester Stallone a while back, and I hadn't watched this movie in forever, and I was like, I have to watch this. Could not find anywhere to watch it. So $8 on Amazon not only gets you Cobra, you also get Kurt Russell as well in Tango and Cash. So $8 on Amazon, you could have these two underrated classics in your household.
Internet Archive. I always find these films on Internet Archive for free half the time. Yeah, if you want bootleg shit, I mean, you might have to deal with some subtitles or some shit, but
I can deal with that. I've done that many times. It's like a movie you want to watch so bad, but it's got like, Spanish subtitles. Who gives a fuck? As long as it's not in Spanish and I have to read the English, I don't care.
See, senor.
I just like to pick out if I can figure out which is the cuss word that I can learn in Spanish. Yeah.
Are you using a different phone or something?
No.
Now, Chuck? It just seems like the last 2 weeks that your picture is more clear. It looks like different.
No.
Do you see that, Jed?
That and the image doesn't seem reversed.
Yeah.
What is that? Is Slayer no? Slayer's still backwards.
Is it backwards?
Well, because I use a different room now. I made my bedroom into another chill room. Like I sleep on a couch. This couch is uber fucking comfy. Okay, it was given to me. I have a couch addiction. Okay, I have 5 couches in this small ass duplex. So I've got my box springs and my mattress and stuff over here on the wall. And I've got a little more light in here. The light's like right above. So maybe that's why you see me a little bit better. I don't know.
It's just the picture seems more clear, and it doesn't seem like you're cutting out as much. So I don't know if
that's another reason why I'm in here. Well, in that room, for whatever fucking reason, everybody has problems with it. There is one spot that's about this fucking big, and if you end up with your phone on anywhere, it does not want to work. So all those times where I'm in there and I'm having to move it around, then it works. That's why. Yeah, so there's that.
Interesting. So as every other week, we do have a clip of the week. We have to see what we got in the video generator. It got loaded up, and we are ready for blast off. So let's see what we got this week.
That's great.
Right? That'd be great if that was
He
the whole
blows
film.
the guy up. It says he spent the rest of his days in jail or in prison or whatever. That's hilarious.
That should just be the whole. That should just be the whole film,
Right?
One guy draws, the other guy draws. He blows the guy up. Roll credits. Cast Mark, dead guy.
Yeah,
With his
award.
with a fucking little fucking mini rocket launcher strapped to his wrist, Travis Bickle style.
Yeah, no shit. I love when we have the clip of the week because we get to see shit like that. Like, what is that even from?
I saw that clip forever ago, and I actually sent it to Dave. So I guess he threw it in the fucking generator. And then we looked it up and found out what the name was, but I fucking forget because I'm just full of dumb shit sometimes. And it had a weird-ass name to it, and it just left my head. I remembered it earlier today whenever I was going through looking up shit, but that's how fast I lost it.
We'll just say it's called Rocket Launcher.
Rocket Man.
He told me what
Rocket
clips
Man.
he put in there, and I was like, all right, well, let's see which one plays. And I'm glad that one did because I forgot about it.
The
That's pretty
Rocketeer. Are we doing? What are we doing? Are we doing the Rocketeer next week?
The Rocketeer?
The Racketeer, illegal. No, I don't want to do that. Although, as a kid, I loved the Rocketeer movies. And there was a video game that I was a fan of as a kid, too. You remember that one? You had to get fucking gasoline in it every time, or you'd like, when you were flying. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's one I might need to revisit. I don't know.
Before we get into next week's episode,
Billy Campbell.
you guys got anything going on?
What's
Michael?
going on?
Anything crack-a-lacking?
Nah, just the usual shit, man. You want to go check out Leasure Trading Company on YouTube and fucking eBay, you do it. And if you don't, it's so cool too. Because I love y'all. Thanks for coming out.
Appreciate it. Chuck Nasty.
Yeah, I've got some things going on.
Couple things.
Let's see here. Couple of things here. First, we'll go with my favorite. Got some books out. Of course, we have my novella, Thirsty. Okay, you can get that. Amazon. All this shit's on Amazon. Sludge, which is the anthology I do with Stuart Bray and Jason Nickey. And then,
Mike.
and then my I'm so glad this is finally out. It feels so good to even hold this. House of Flesh, my novel.
Okay. Oh, you're talking about the novel.
He's talking
It's
about the
fucking
book.
huge. No,
I'm glad this is finally out, and it feels so good to hold this. Boom, the novel, House of Flesh.
now I'll get to that after we get off here. But yeah, no.
Clerks After Dark.
Right, yeah. Whew, you got to pay for that one, boy. But yeah, this
account.
Yeah, not yet. Getting there.
Mound of Flesh.
Times are hard. Yeah. But no, I started working on this 8 years ago, and then finished it a year or so later, and never thought that it would ever be out. And it's kind of nice for it's kind of almost a dream come true, I guess, to actually have it out. And
good.
yeah, and all this stuff's on Amazon. You can get ebook, paperback, yeah, there's more to come with that shit. So
you can buy all three on Amazon right now for under $30.
Yeah, man. So definitely go check it out. And shit. A lot of people, I got to say, there's a lot of love I've gotten from both Thirsty and this, and actually even Sludge as well. But a lot of people have been posting, tagging me in things regarding this. There's something special. I knew there was something special about this book when I wrote it, and I've actually got fans now for my writing. Like, people are actually like messaging me and tagging me and shit, and telling me, and leaving reviews saying that they're gonna keep an eye on me and make sure get anything that I put out. And it's like, yeah, it's fucking nice.
Oh, yeah.
So man. I got that, and which I've been working on my next novella, Officer Oink, and that's a fun one. And then in the music department, Bastard Sons of a Judas Goat.
You're gonna die, pig.
That became Whitman's favorite character every time he said pig. He's like, every time he calls the cop pig, I just like him even more. But in the Bastard Sons of a Judas Goat, we have finished our latest album. We're going to be releasing it here soon, but we are in the process of figuring out a video and doing some video filming for that shit here soon. So that'll be out hopefully within the next couple of months. We've been working really hard on that shit, and Josh, the guitar player, he's been kicking ass at recording and engineering thing, doing the whole producing thing and all that. So looking forward to that shit. See how people think about that when it comes out. And then Graveyard Talk, Nasty Nation, Facebook, YouTube, all that for all this shit, and then here before too long, Whitman and I have a YouTube channel that we are getting ready to start doing some episodes for. It's going to be a channel for a few different podcasts. As of right now, just in the audio department, just kind of keeping it old school, the way podcasts originally were supposed to be. Okay, I'm an old school DJ kind of guy, and I kind of like it like that. So we've got a few shows that we're gonna have on that. So that'll be more details coming soon. Okay, I need to stop talking because it's getting more and more difficult with every sentence I speak. So let's review. Buy these.
Yes,
thank you.
Buy those.
Oh,
Under 30
and
bucks,
also
all three good reads.
Thank you. And also, we can't leave out Whitman Photography and all that fun stuff. So check all that shit out.
Photography.
Whenever
Yes,
Dave
sir.
says photography, I think that he's like Whitman's just taking fucking photographs of furries or animals or something like that. Like it's photography.
Oh, the way he
The
No,
way
actually,
Dave says it that way.
I will say this though. I'll just throw a little bit more more love for old Whitman and his stuff. He takes photos of just about anything. And if you go on his DeviantArt page and on his Facebook page, places like that, mainly on DeviantArt for some of them, because he's got an Instagram and stuff like that. But he's got pictures of scantily clad women. He's got pictures of fields. He's got this, that, and the other. He's got a little bit of everything for all your eyes. But he definitely has some good photos on DeviantArt that can't be seen in other places. So, Whitman.
I won't see him here. Old horror Whitman. You'll see him here periodically whenever we usually do horror movies.
Where the fuck did I go?
Yeah.
I hear you, but I don't see your lips moving.
Well,
Yes.
Lights out.
Where you at? Where you at?
You turned off the movie.
Dun dun dun.
You get a little too extreme on us, man. You know what I'm saying?
So all the links are down below for Leasure Trading Company, for Chuck Nasty all over the place, for Whitman Photography. And next week, we shall be talking about a funny movie. It's funny. Funny how? Do I amuse you? That's right. Next week, we are talking about Martin Scorsese's 1990 Goodfellas.
Yeah.
So come by the store. Check us out.
Check it out.
I'm gonna try to see. I'm trying to convince Whitman to actually break his thing to come on for that because he loves that fucking movie too.
It's a good one.
I don't know if I'll be able to get it, but it is a good one. It's classic.
It really is.
Mafiosos.
So stop by next Tuesday, 10 p.m. Same bat time, same bat channel. If you have not subscribed, check us out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like, leave in the comments what you would like to see us review next. We would love to hear from you guys on some ideas. Just don't make them some crazy, goofy shit that we won't watch, because then we just won't watch it and then you'll get mad at us.
Hey, man, what's that shit?
But check us out. We'll be here next week, 10 p.m., talking about Goodfellas. Stop by the store. We'll see you then.